Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, May 8th, 2023. I am Dave Biddle flying solo on today's show. All right, a lot to get into. First thing was I posted a thread to our message board on Bucknuts, the front row message board. Got some suggestions for topics today. A lot of people wanted to know about the college football playoff. This will be the final year of the 4-team format. We know all about that. People want to know what I thought about the 12-team format and the amount of teams, how they set it up, all of that. So let's get into that. First of all, I love that the first round games are going to be on campus, unless the team that could host it wants to move it to a different venue. So if you're the 5 seed, you're going to host the 12 seed, and so on. 6 seed would host the 11, 7 would host the 10, 8 would host the 9. So I like that a lot. And somebody was asking me, well, wait a minute, shouldn't the quarterfinals also be, at home stadiums? I would love that. I would love it. So if Ohio State, was in that top 4, they would host then a quarterfinal game because the top 4 seeds are going to get a bye. So I would love that if the quarterfinal games were at home stadiums. It was never going to happen though. They were going to keep the top 6 bowl games involved. So you have, 4 of the bowl games will have the quarterfinal games, and then 2 of them will have the semifinal games, and they'll rotate. So you're talking about obviously the Rose, Fiesta, Sugar Bowl, Peach Bowl, Orange Bowl, and what am I leaving out? The Cotton Bowl. Yeah, so those 6 will rotate: Rose, Fiesta, Cotton, Sugar, Orange, and Peach. So yeah, it'd be great if we could figure out a way just for the quarterfinal games to also be on campus. I would love that. I want to see a playoff game at Ohio Stadium, no doubt about it. And the idea that you can't do it is ridiculous. They're starting the games in December. Last time I checked, the NFL has outdoor playoff games in January. They're able to get by pretty well, so they can definitely do it. So when Gene Smith and others at Ohio State talk about wanting to move it to Indianapolis, no, have it at Ohio Stadium. I get it; it's a new age of Ohio State football where they're you could easily argue they're a better team indoors. In fact, I would argue that, but still, I want the home game at Ohio Stadium, not in Indianapolis if you have it. But hopefully it's a moot point where if Ohio State's in the college football playoff in 2024 and beyond, they're in the top 4, so it won't matter. They'll get it by, and then they'll automatically be in the quarterfinals. But so there you go. I want to say one more thing about the 12-team format. I initially was not a fan of it. I'm still not a huge fan of it, but I've kind of been talked into it. More football is good, so I can get down with that. The hypocrisy, though, is just thick, isn't it? Right? I mean, so they're changing the rules this year under the guise of player safety, to shorten the games, right? But they're not really. I mean, the way to shorten the game would be to take out, the incessant commercials that they have where, a team scores, take a commercial, come back, kick off, take a commercial after the kickoff, and then you come back for the next drive. That'd be a way to shorten the games. So they're doing that under the guise of player safety. They're taking away some snaps, if it's a first down, unless it's the last 2 minutes of each half, if it's a first down, they're not going to stop the clock, stuff like that, under player safety to have less snaps. But now they're going to have a 12-team playoff. I mean, just follow the money. I mean, it's all about money. It's also the reason, obviously, that the quarterfinal games are still going to be at a bowl site and not on campus. Follow the money. So it's not about player safety that they're it's so funny. I mean, you're going to have teams now playing almost like an NFL schedule if they get to the championship game. So, yeah, but player safety, right? No, it's all about money. But anyway, there you go. I don't have a problem with how they set it up. I kind of like keeping it at 4 because it keeps the regular season so important. But having the top 4 teams get a bye keeps the regular season very important. I will say that that's a huge advantage. Obviously, if you get that first round bye, that's a huge advantage. All right, another thing people want me to talk about: running back depth chart. Specifically, somebody wanted to know where Dallin Hayden is, and then there was a follow up about just running back depth in general. I've talked about this before. If I had to go on record right now, I think Travion Henderson will take the first snap when they try it out there against Indiana in the season opener. But I think it's really close, and I like the depth they have there. We saw last year. We've never seen an Ohio State team that depleted at depth at running back. Never. And they entered the season, we're all thinking like they're loaded because they were. And then everybody just started dropping like flies, starting with Evan Pryor in camp, and then it just went from there. Dallin was the one guy that stayed healthy. Dallin Hayden. And I thought he played well. I still am flummoxed that he didn't have more of a role after he showed out against Maryland. There was like all kinds of talk that there was ball security issues in practice. So I'm sure that was a big reason. But still, I mean, beggars can't be choosers is the phrase that comes to mind. I'm still surprised Dallin didn't have more of a role at the end of the year. But let's get into it. So I think it'll be, if I had to bet right now, it'll be Travion, then it'll be Mayan. Really close between Chip and Dallin. I like both of them. When those guys are 3 and 4 in whatever order, you know you got really good depth. And when Evan Pryor, who we're hearing is going to be healthy coming off that torn patellar tendon, it was not an ACL, it was a torn patellar tendon. He's going to be healthy for the start of camp, we were told. So if he's your 5th guy, even coming off a serious knee injury, that's a good problem to have. They've got some good walk-ons with TC Caffey and, you know, the true freshman from Massillon, Washington. Will Harris here? Let me look it up real quick. So I don't want to get this kid's name wrong. I got the roster right here. I can actually look it up. Will Hartson from Massillon, who turned down several D1 offers to walk on at Ohio State after rushing for 2,000 yards at Massillon this past year, enrolled early. So they've even got a couple good walk-on running backs. But I think it'll be Travion Henderson. I think it'll be Mayan Williams. And then I think really good this spring. I'm not just talking about the spring game. We saw he looked good in the spring game, obviously, but he was fast and hard to tackle all spring. He's tough. He's obviously big, physical, 5'11", 230. Those tend to be like kind of like the ideal size for backs at times. About 5'11", 225, 5'11", 230, right around there. I love that. And he's fast. So, you know, but Dallin's going to be a year older. Dallin's bulked up. Dallin looks good. So I like what Tony Alford's got cooking at running back. He's also doing a great job on the recruiting trail, but that's a show for a different day. But yeah, I think they're in good shape at running back for sure this year. And that's my stab at what the pecking order will be. But hopefully they just stay healthy. And guys are going to get banged up, but hopefully they don't have any season-ending injuries. Hopefully they can stay relatively healthy at running back this year. All right. Another thing, Larry Johnson's recruiting is another topic that I was asked to get into. Where are the D-line booms at? Yeah, it's they're in on several, good defensive linemen for the 2023 class, or 2024 class. But they don't have any so far. The only 2, they have 13. The class is looking good, but as usual, it's top heavy on offensive players. They have 11 offensive players and 2 defensive players so far in the class. Now, looking at the top targets, you can get on 24/7 Sports. You can get on Ohio State. Just go on Bucknuts and then go on the recruiting tab, pull it down. All of this is free. Go to look at targets. You can see all of their targets, Ohio State's targets. It's right there for you. And they're in on several guys that, it's showing warm. If it says cold, that means Ohio State's a long shot. If it says warm, that means they got a shot. They're at least in the mix. And there's a lot of like good D-line targets that they're warm on, that Ohio State's in on. But I don't know. I think, certainly there's negative recruiting going on. I have no doubt about that. Do I have firsthand knowledge of that? No, but I have no doubt that everybody's recruiting against Ohio State saying Larry Johnson's not, he's going to retire pretty soon. There was rumors he was going to retire after last year. So I have no doubt that's going on. Is that affecting things? I don't know. Probably. I don't know for sure. I do know that in the end, I think they're going to still land some good defensive linemen in this class. We'll see. But I do think this is probably going to be Larry Johnson's last year. If I had to guess, this is his 10th year, going to be his 10th season at Ohio State. He would then qualify for, state retirement. Not that he needs money, I'm sure, but that's just, it's maybe something else that he was thinking staying on for another year. But, I don't know. He's a legend, so hopefully he can, finish strong and get one more class, presuming this is his last year. But I don't know. These kids love playing for him. Maybe it's not his last year. I've told you guys before on the show when I interviewed the young guys like Kenyatta Jackson, Amari Abor, and Hero Canoe at Peach Bowl Media Day, right before that Georgia game. They all said the number one reason they came to Ohio State was Larry Johnson. So, it's probably the end of the road, near the end of the road for LJ, but it's like, be careful what you wish for, maybe, because, then is recruiting then really going to drop off if you don't have Larry Johnson? Or is it time to make a change after this year? I don't know. That's why they pay Ryan Day almost $10 million. That's why he gets to make that decision. I just get to talk about it. And then, but like I told you guys, I thought last year was going to be his last year. I was told that. I know other people have reported that as well, that they were hearing it was going to be his last year. Something changed. I don't know if Larry changed his mind. I don't know what happened. Something changed though, because I have it on good authority, and I know other good reporters that cover this team had it on good authority that it was going to be LJ's last year, and so something changed. I think this will probably be, given all that we know. If I had to bet, this will be his last year. Is that affecting recruiting? Probably. We'll find out. All right. We've talked about guys that are coming into from the portal to Ohio State, the Josh Simmonses, guys like that, the guys they've gotten like Davis and Igbinosun and Jihad Carter. Those are the top three, in my opinion. Josh Simmons, it's huge getting him. Davis and Igbinosun looks like he's going to be a star to me, if not this year, in the future. That's how good he looks to me. Not to put too much on his plate, right? But seriously, I think his goal, he comes out, he says it in a humble way, but he wants to be a first-round NFL draft pick. He says it in a humble way, like he knows he needs to work hard for it. I think he can get there. I'm not saying he's going to be a star this year, but I really like Davis and Igbinosun a lot. And Jihad Carter was really good at Syracuse. Those are the big three. They got Vic Cutler. They got the third-string quarterback, Tristan Gebbia. They got the long snapper, who's a good long snapper that transferred in from Arizona State, who's on scholarship. We saw what happened when Brad Robinson got hurt last year. The long snapper didn't know there was a fake punt on. He was the only one that didn't know there was a fake punt on against Michigan. So long snappers are important. Anyway, so they did a great job getting guys in the portal. All right, so let's talk about some of the guys that they're losing. Ben Chrisman is the most recent one. He's going to Kentucky. I think that's a good fit for both sides. Ben was entering his third year and was buried on the depth chart. Someone was asking me, well, wasn't he in the mix to play at all? No, he wasn't. He was not, because here's the deal. Like, he was running with the twos all spring at left guard behind Donovan Jackson. But once the season rolls around, if one of the starting guards got hurt, Enoch Vamahi would have been the first guy in my opinion. And whoever loses the right tackle job could be another guy that could play guard. Let's say Josh Simmons wins the right tackle job and Tegra Shabola's sitting there. He can be the swing tackle, but he also can play guard. He repped at guard last year. Tegra can play tackle. He could play guard. So Ben, wasn't even guaranteed to go in if somebody got hurt. It wasn't even guaranteed to be, the second guy in if two guards got hurt. So Ben was, entering his third year, was not going to play unless, even if multiple guys got hurt, most likely. It would have taken just complete destruction on the offensive line for Ben to get playing time. Good kid, Ohio kid. He's going to go to Kentucky. Kentucky's done a good job of getting, the Ohio kids in recruiting that Ohio State maybe likes but doesn't have room for, or maybe isn't quite Ohio State caliber, but still very good players. They've done a good job doing that. And Ben Chrisman is a good fit there. So I think that's, Ohio State needs scholarship room. I think it's a good fit for all sides. Ohio State needs scholarship room. Ben wasn't going to play here. He wants to play. He's good enough to play, and it's a good fit for Kentucky. Seems like a win all around. Sunshine and roses here on the Bucknuts Morning 5. Seriously, it feels like a good fit for Ohio State, Ben himself, and Kentucky. So the other two and we've talked about this, but Caleb Burton, we knew he left, but now we know where he's going. He's going to Auburn, joining Michigan State's former quarterback Peyton Thorne there. It's crazy at Michigan State, the exodus they're having. At least their cornerback that was going to transfer came back, their corner. They're losing their quarterback, but their cornerback came back. But they're also losing their top wide receiver, Michigan State is. Anyway, Caleb Burton transferring to Auburn. Good fit for Caleb Burton, good get for Auburn. I thought Caleb Burton might go to Colorado. That was my guess, because I know Dion needs 60 players. I saw somebody was saying, yeah, they need wide receivers. I was like, yeah, they need a little bit of everything, don't they? But somebody was saying they especially need wide receivers. I was thinking, maybe they'll get Caleb Burton. But good get for Auburn. Good for Caleb Burton. Now, the one that Ohio State lost that I think actually would have played this year is Caleb Brown. I've talked about that. It's interesting he's going to Iowa. Speaking of former Big Ten quarterback, or current Big Ten quarterback still, but Cade McNamara transferring from Michigan to Iowa will be Iowa's quarterback. I actually think Cade McNamara is going to do a good job there, relatively speaking, for that archaic offense. They're saying that they're going to have more of a, I don't even know what you would call it. I almost said more of an electric offense. How about not a terrible offense in Iowa? I'll believe it when I see it. I love Jim Lachey, so I love rooting for Luke Lachey. So I hope, unless they play Ohio State, I hope that Iowa offense is good. So But that surprised me with Caleb Brown. The more I think about it, though, it initially surprised me. It's like, Iowa, really, Iowa? But, Cade McNamara is going to be a solid quarterback there, and it's like a 3-hour drive from where he's from, about 3 hours from Chicago, maybe a little bit more than that. But so then it makes sense. He's closer to home, still in the Big Ten. And, Iowa's still a good program. Their offense has just been anemic the last few years. So we'll see if they can get that turned around. Last thing, kudos to Ohio State graduate Justin Fields. I thought that was really, really cool. They had the ceremony yesterday. I joked on Twitter. I don't know if it was a joke. There was, Kellyanne Stitz from Channel 6 here in Columbus posted a video of Justin, walking, on the field at Ohio Stadium, which was cool that obviously it was held there. And this girl that was walking next to Justin, fellow graduate, she, this young lady takes her phone out. You can see they're looking at their diplomas, and it's real quick. She's like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" Her fellow graduate, Justin, she takes a selfie. They stop and they take a selfie. That was a smart move by that young lady. She's got that selfie with Justin Fields for the rest of her life on the field at Ohio Stadium after they graduated. Very, very cool. Right before they graduated, perhaps, decked out in their gear. So that was really cool. I did not know Justin was going to graduate. So I didn't see that coming. I'm sure that had been reported. It just something that was not on my radar. So that was really cool to see. So Justin Fields, Ohio State graduate, and really good NFL quarterback. I think he's going to have a really good year this year. I mean, he had no help around him last year. He basically had to turn into a running back at times, set some NFL records, second most rushing yards ever by a quarterback in NFL history. He had some other, and he had like a single game record that he set, some Chicago Bears record that he set. And now he's got some weapons around him. They've beefed up the offensive line. They've got some receivers. I think Justin Fields is going to have a really good third season for the Chicago Bears. Kind of like, I'm not saying he's going to do what Jalen Hurts did. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't have good weapons around him. He had great weapons around him. I'm not saying Fields is going to do what Hurts did in his third year, but I think he can eventually be that type of player. That good. I really feel like Justin Fields can be that good. People say he can't throw the ball. We know he can throw the ball. We saw him do it at Ohio State. I know he can throw the ball. Now he's got, DJ Moore with them. Not that Claypool's good. He played with Claypool a little bit last year, but at least now he's got, Claypool is at least decent. Mooney, but DJ Moore was the big one and beefing up their offensive line. So I think Fields is going to have a good year for the Bears. All right. But congratulations, Justin Fields, Ohio State graduate. All right. Appreciate you guys. I know you guys have a lot of choices. There's a million Ohio State podcasts. So appreciate you guys making the Bucknuts Morning 5 a part of your day, Monday through Friday. Dan Rubin will be with you guys as usual tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday. Appreciate you guys very much. Hope everyone has a great rest